Hi, everyone, and welcome to English Listen and Learn. I'm Ben.
And I'm Anna. Hello.
So today we're diving into something really fantastic for boosting your English.
Hmm.
And it might actually surprise you because it's something you can genuinely enjoy doing.
Right, we're talking about reading.
Exactly, reading. But, you know, not boring textbooks or drilling grammar rules.
No, none of that today.
We're looking at how picking up a good book, something you like, can be super effective.
And honestly, quite fun for getting more fluent in English.
So we'll unpack some of the amazing benefits you get from reading.
Yeah, how it really helps English learners.
And then we'll share some, really practical tips, simple things to get you started.
And how to really make the most of it when you do read.
Okay, so let's jump right in. Why reading?
Oh.
What makes it such a powerful tool for learning English?
Well, first off, it's just incredible for your vocabulary. Seriously.
Yeah, how so?
When you read, you encounter words in all sorts of different situations, different contexts.
Ah, okay. Like seeing the same word used in different ways.
Exactly. It's like meeting a new word dressed differently each time you see it. You start to really get what it means.
I like that analogy. Can you give an example?
Sure. Imagine you're reading a story. Maybe someone's cooking.
Okay.
You might see words like simmer or saute, whisk. Maybe you don't know them all.
Right. Could be new.
But seeing them used while they describe the cooking action, you start to figure it out. It feels much more, natural.
Than just like memorizing a list of cooking verbs.
Precisely. And it's not just single words either.
What else?
You see how words team up, common phrases and expressions.
Oh, like idioms or collocations.
Yeah, like you might read, the rain was coming down in sheets.
Okay, heavy rain.
Right. You learn sheets and rain, sure.
Yeah.
But you also learn that whole chunk, that expression for really heavy rain. You won't easily find that in a basic dictionary definition.
That makes sense. It's about the context, isn't it?
Absolutely. That's maybe the most powerful part. Context is king.
So instead of just learning happy means feeling pleasure.
You read something like, she was happy to see her friends. You see the why.
You connect the word to the situation, the feeling.
And that makes it stick.
Mhm.
It's much more memorable and easier for you to actually use later.
It's like learning to swim by actually getting in the water, not just reading a manual about it.
Perfect analogy. You experience it.
Okay, so vocabulary boost is huge. What's next?
Well, the second big thing is grammar.
Ah, grammar. The scary word for many learners.
It can be. But reading helps in a really sneaky way. You absorb it almost without noticing.
How does that work? You're not studying rules.
Exactly. You're not consciously thinking about verb tenses or sentence structure. But your brain, it's seeing correct sentences constantly.
So it's like pattern recognition.
Kind of, yeah. If you read a story set in the past, you'll just keep seeing past tense verbs.
Yeah.
Walked, ate, saw.
Over and over again.
Right. And you start to develop this intuitive sense of how the past tense works just from exposure.
It reminds me of listening to music. You might not know music theory, but you can often tell when a note sounds wrong.
Yeah. You develop an ear for it.
So reading gives you an ear for English grammar. You start to feel what sounds right.
That's a great way to put it. You might not be able to explain the rule, the why, but you just know if the sentence feels correct or a bit off.
What about tricky bits, like prepositions? In, on, at. They can be tough.
Oh, definitely. Textbooks give you rules, but they often have exceptions, right?
Always.
Reading just shows you how people actually use them. You see someone on a chair or in a car or meeting at the library.
Concrete examples.
Yes. And those examples build a much more practical, usable understanding than just trying to memorize abstract rules.
Okay, so better vocab, intuitive grammar.
Yeah.
What else?
Another really great thing is that you can go completely at your own pace.
Ah, yes.
No pressure.
Exactly. No classroom rush, nobody waiting for you. If you hit a tricky sentence or a word you don't know,
You can just stop, take your time, reread it, look it up, mull it over. It's totally on your terms.
that must make learning feel less stressful.
Hugely. If you pick a challenging book, maybe you only read 2 pages. It's fine.
Or if it's easier, you might fly through a chapter.
Right. You set the speed, whatever works for your learning style, your current level, your available time. It's flexible.
Okay, that's a big plus.
Yeah.
And you mentioned one more main benefit.
Yes. Developing a real feel for the language.
A feel. What do you mean by that?
It's beyond just the words and the grammar rules. It's about understanding the nuances, the tone.
Like reading between the lines?
Sort of, yeah. Understanding implied meanings. You start picking up on things like sarcasm or maybe humor, just from how words are used in that specific situation.
Like if a character says, "Oh, that's just great," after spilling coffee everywhere.
Exactly. You know they don't actually mean it's great. You get the tone.
And that comes from seeing it used in context within the story.
Right. This deeper understanding, this feel, is what really helps you move from just knowing English words to actually, using English fluently and confidently.
You start to think more naturally in English.
And maybe even anticipate how sentences might flow. It's a much more holistic way to learn, really enriching.
Wow. Okay, so those are some really compelling reasons. Vocabulary, grammar, pacing, and that overall feel for the language.
Definitely. Reading packs a punch.
So for someone listening who's thinking, okay, I'm convinced, how do I start? What are some simple, practical tips?
Great question. Our first and maybe most important tip is choose things you genuinely enjoy reading.
Sounds simple, but yeah, makes sense.
It really does. Doesn't matter if it's novels, magazines, websites, comics, whatever. If you find it interesting.
You'll stick with it.
Exactly. Think about your hobbies, your interests, history. Find a simple historical novel. Animals. Loads of stories about pets. Cooking. Read recipes or food blogs.
Right. If you're actually interested, you'll be motivated to keep going, even if it gets a bit tough.
And you'll want to understand those new words because they're part of something you care about. Less like homework, more like discovery.
Okay, so find enjoyable material. Tip 1, what's tip 2?
Tip 2 is a handy little trick called the 5-finger rule.
5-finger rule. Okay, tell me more.
It's a super quick way to check if a book is roughly the right difficulty level for you. Not too hard, not too easy.
How does it work?
You just open the book to any page, say somewhere in the middle.
Okay.
Start reading that page. Every time you find a word you don't know or understand, put up 1 finger.
Okay. Counting the unknown words.
Right. So by the time you finish reading that 1 page, if you have 0, 1, or maybe 2 fingers up.
The book might be a bit too easy for learning.
Probably, yeah. Good for practice, maybe, but not much new vocabulary. Now, if you have 3 or 4 fingers up...
That's the sweet spot. Challenging but manageable.
Exactly. That's likely a good level for you to learn and still understand the story. But if you get to the end of the page and you've got 5 or more fingers up...
Too hard for now. Might get frustrating.
Probably means you'd be stopping constantly, might lose the flow, and, yeah, get discouraged.
So the 5-finger rule helps you find that just right book. Nice and practical.
It is. Quick check in the bookstore or library.
Okay. Enjoy what you read. Use the 5-finger rule. What's tip number 3?
Tip 3 is to create a word treasure notebook.
Ooh, sounds intriguing. A treasure notebook?
Yeah, just a simple notebook where you write down new or interesting words you find while you're reading.
So you encounter a new word?
Jot it down. Maybe write a quick definition, maybe in your own language if that helps you remember.
Could you add an example sentence too?
Absolutely. Even better, try writing your own simple sentence using the new word.
Why does writing it down help so much?
Well, the act of actually writing it, thinking about the meaning, maybe creating a sentence, it makes it much more active.
Instead of just passively seeing the word.
Right. It engages your brain differently and helps solidify that word in your memory. Like you learn serene. You write serene, calm, peaceful. Then maybe your sentence. The lake looked serene at sunrise.
Got it. Makes it yours.
Exactly. And the treasure part is you can flip back through your notebook later.
Like a personal dictionary you've built?
Review the words, see your progress. It's really motivating.
Okay, those are 3 really solid, actionable tips. Choose enjoyable stuff, use the 5-finger rule, keep a word treasure notebook.
Simple, but they make a big difference in making reading an effective learning tool.
Now, besides those core tips, are there any, extra tricks? Things you can do to get even more out of reading?
Oh, definitely. Think of these as like reading power-ups.
Power-ups, I like it. What's the first one?
First one is try reading aloud sometimes.
Reading out loud. Why is that helpful?
Well, it connects the visual word on the page with the sound and the physical act of speaking it. It helps with pronunciation.
You practice actually saying the words.
Right. And rhythm, intonation, too. You start to hear the flow of the sentences better when you speak them. Don't do it all the time, but maybe a paragraph here and there.
Okay, reading aloud. Power-up number 1. What's 2?
Try writing super short summaries, like after you read a chapter, or even just a page or 2.
Yeah.
Try to write, say, just 3 sentences summarizing what happened or what the main idea was, in your own words.
Forces you to process it.
Exactly. It checks your comprehension. Did you really understand it?
Yeah.
And it makes you practice expressing those ideas in English yourself.
Okay, simple but effective. 3-sentence summaries. And the third power-up.
Rereading.
Rereading things you've already read. Doesn't it get boring?
Not necessarily, especially if it's a book or even just a page you really enjoyed. The first time you read, you might focus just on the plot, what happens next.
True.
When you reread, you're more relaxed about the story, so you can pay more attention to how things are said. Notice interesting vocabulary, cool sentence structures.
You pick up different things the second time around.
Definitely. You reinforce the language you already encountered, and you often spot new details. It really helps cement the learning.
Okay, so power-ups. Read aloud sometimes, write short summaries, and reread favorites. Got it.
Those can really accelerate your progress.
This is all fantastic advice. Now, a question many learners have is, what should they read? Any specific recommendations, especially for different levels?
Yeah, that's a common question. It really depends on your interest, like we said, but there are some good starting points.
Okay, what about for beginners? Someone just starting out with reading.
For absolute beginners, children's picture books can be great. Simple language, lots of pictures for context.
Makes sense.
Also, look for graded readers. Series like Oxford Bookworms or Penguin Readers. They adapt famous stories or write new ones using limited vocabulary for different levels.
So you can find level 1, level 2, etc.
Exactly. Level 1 might use only 300 basic words, for example. Really helps build confidence.
Okay, good tip for beginners. What about intermediate learners? They know some basics, want something more substantial.
Yeah, here you can branch out more. Maybe try some simpler young adult novels. Things like Charlotte's Web is a classic, beautiful language, but still quite accessible.
Right, or maybe some popular series.
Definitely. Or even magazines on topics you like, cars, movies, whatever. The language is usually pretty straightforward. Short articles are less daunting, too.
Good point. And for advanced learners, people who are pretty comfortable but want to refine their skills.
At the advanced level, you can really start tackling authentic novels written for native speakers, whatever interests you.
So like contemporary bestsellers, classics.
Sure. Something like The Alchemist by Paulo Coelho is popular philosophical, but the language isn't overly complex. Or dive into authors you enjoy. Maybe try reading news articles from major English websites like the BBC or the New York Times.
Lots of options there.
The key thing, really, at any level, is finding something that hooks you. These are just ideas to get you started exploring. Don't be afraid to try things and put them down if they're not working for you.
That's crucial. It's your reading journey. Okay, so let's maybe pull this all together. We've talked about a lot.
We have. It's such a great topic.
So the big takeaway seems to be that reading in English is incredibly beneficial.
Absolutely. It grows your vocabulary naturally.
Helps you understand grammar without tedious study.
Lets you learn at your own pace.
And really helps you develop that deeper feel, that intuition for the language.
Right. And getting started is simple. Remember the 3 main tips.
Yep. 1, choose stuff you actually enjoy reading. Makes all the difference.
2, use that 5-finger rule to find books that are challenging but not overwhelming.
And 3, keep that word treasure notebook to actively collect and remember new words.
Perfect. And don't forget the power-ups.
Reading aloud for pronunciation.
Writing those quick 3-sentence summaries for comprehension.
And rereading favorites to notice more detail.
All great ways to boost your learning.
It really does sound like reading is a kind of superpower for learning English.
It truly is. Better vocabulary, stronger grammar. You even start thinking more effectively in English. And ultimately, it leads to more confident speaking, too.
Because you have the words and the structures in your head.
Exactly. It all connects.
So the final message for everyone listening.
Just start. Grab a book, an article, anything that looks interesting. Don't worry about understanding every single word.
Just dive in and enjoy the process.
Yes. Find your reading adventure. Even just a few pages regularly can make a huge difference over time.
Fantastic. Well, thank you for sharing all that. Really inspiring.
My pleasure. Happy reading, everyone.
Happy reading.